So, you know what we're working on today? What are we working on?
My Shark Tank.
Your Shark Tank stuff, right? Your essay that's in rough draft form, right?
Yes.
So, what's the next step after we do a rough draft?
Final draft. My final draft.
Well, your next draft, right? So, your teacher, your mainstream teacher, sent us a checklist. Okay? Now, looking at this checklist, what's your impression of this at first glance?
It's big.
It's big, right. And she does break it down. There are headings here where she says this is what you're going to put in your introduction paragraph, then your body paragraph 2, body paragraph 2 continued, and she kind of walks you through. Now, your rough draft right now is not really in this form yet, right? It was more just getting your ideas down on paper. And I think you have most of these items in this checklist. We just might not have them in this order yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was, because I think this might make things a little bit easier and easier to kind of follow along and not feel like you have 50 things you have to do at once, is I took this checklist. And so we have your draft here. And this is the easiest way to do something when you're revising a document and you have a checklist or a list of questions to answer. Even if you're doing reading comprehension, you're reading and you have questions to answer, is to put them side by side on the screen. So that when you're looking for something, if you kind of forget what you were doing, you have it right there in front of you. So I've broken it down here. Let's tell you the game plan. Our game plan is to get this essay in such great form that when you present it to the sharks, you hook them in, right? You get them excited about it, or you get them emotional about it. Do you remember some of the videos you watched, right? Tell me something that they did to pull people in the beginning.
They used their enthusiasm.
Okay, so enthusiasm. Did they? I mean, they didn't just get up there and cheer, right? So they must have given them some kind of information. What kind of information do you remember some of them giving?
They gave like a story of
Okay.
their life, and then like a reason they made the business in the first place.
Okay, so a reason why this is even a thing, right? And stories, facts, things like that pull people in and get them interested. And once you get them interested, then you can hit them with, okay, here are the details about what I'm bringing to you, right? But to do that, we've got to have it really laid out. We've got to have a game plan. Okay, so this is our game plan, our checklist. So what I did was I took the checklist. I didn't remove anything from it. I went through and I just color coded each section. So what we're going to do is, instead of trying to go through the whole checklist in one fell swoop, because that's a lot, we're going to go one at a time, color by color. Okay, so we're starting with reason for invention. Cameraman. We're starting with reason for the invention, and they give us some things like compelling opening, which you have some stuff in here that's definitely compelling. Oops. Okay. We got it. So we're going to look for anywhere in your rough draft that you have a compelling statistic, a story, like you mentioned, a question. What is the invention? What's the name of the invention? Why did you choose this invention? And what we're going to do is anything that falls into this category, reason for invention, that has these elements in it, we're going to color code them blue. So that once we've color coded all the blue ones, we're going to pull them out and we're going to paste them right underneath there. And then we're going to go to the next one. So that when we're done with each section, we're just going to take out this checklist and boom, we have it perfectly organized. Okay, does that make sense? I did the first one for you. So the SSG, or the Sea Savers Global, will have computer-controlled drones that go out in the big garbage patch and scoop up trash to bring to a recycling company closest to the water. So that tells us what your invention is and what it's going to do. So I color-coded that blue. So now I'm going to have you look through here and see what other sentences in this document you would color code as blue and having to do with the reason for your invention, why you chose it, and the kind of story that goes with it. Okay, so I'll let you do that. You know how to color code things blue? The text? Hmm? Yeah.
He said,
No. What's happening? Where are you? Okay. Are you wondering whether that sentence works? Okay, cameraman. Okay, which sentence are you looking at? Do you guys like to go to the beach in the summer? Do you think that's something that grabs people's attention? Is it like part of a story? Right, okay. Maybe the reason you're struggling with it a little is it might be something we move somewhere else later, but it definitely belongs in an introduction, right? So I would definitely highlight that blue. Go to the dots. Some of them are hidden because I've made everything small, and then the A here, and then just pick blue. Go down to the darker ones; they're easier to see. Okay, yeah. And what about the sentence after it?
people are dumb, but I have a solution. One, save lives, and two,
Does that sound like it would be part of your introduction?
yes.
Yeah, you can highlight. I think you can highlight that whole thing blue. Up the A. Up there you go. Now we were just before we go any further, we were just talking about how that might actually be what's it called when you want to just grab like the reader at the beginning of a story, the hook. So if you think that sounds more like a hook than a second paragraph or end of the first paragraph, then you can move it up there, or just drag it over here into this document and have it be in the very top. You know how to cut, right? Control X. I was going to say, if you cut it, it gets out of the documents. There's less words for you to deal with. I know it's here. It's just the double clicking part. Here's a keystroke. Control X cuts. And even though you're going into a different document, it will still allow you to do it if it lets me out. And then you go over into your other document, just hit return, and then paste Control V. Boom. Now, not only do you have part of your next step done, but you've got some of these words out of your way. Okay? And we already cut out this one, so why don't you try now? Cut and paste that one to go below the word planet. Control X. Yep. And then you come over here and you Control V. Perfect. Okay. Let's scroll through and see if you see anything else. Now, you don't have to worry. If you miss it and we have sentences left when we're done with this, we'll figure out where they go then. So it's okay if you miss a couple, but this will kind of give you a little momentum to get going. So is there anything else in here that talks about what is the invention? Why did you choose it?
My service will clean up the dirtiest place. My service will clean up the dirtiest place on the planet and save the countless
Yep.
lives.
Perfect. That's a good one. You don't have to click it again now. You could go right to, or you can move it there. You could cut it. And what about when you talk about ocean crusaders and how much plastic there is? That's good. See up here? Ocean crusaders believe there's more than 5 trillion pieces of plastic in the ocean. Is that a reason for your invention? Okay. Okay. Yep. And you're right. Where would you stop that? Right there. Okay. Right. Whoa, did you just hit something that deleted that? Oh, sorry. Okay. Now, let's go down to the second section, product information. Good job. There you go. So now we're going to look at, it asks about features, functions, and benefits. And I know when we last talked about this, we were doing a rough draft, we had to kind of look at what's the difference between a feature and a benefit, the difference between a function and a feature. So I put in those definitions here. We want to look in here to see whether you're talking about features, which are facts about your product. My product has this. Like if you're buying a TV, my TV is a 60-inch screen. That's a feature that people would be happy about. If you're talking about a benefit, it's saying, well, what good will come out of it? How does it help me? Why do I want a 60-inch screen? Okay. But if you're talking about a function, now you're talking about action. What is it going to do? So it's sometimes a feature of it is that it can do something, right? But you're usually just talking about very factual. So let's look through here and see if we can identify features, facts of what it has, functions, what it's going to do, or benefits, how it's going to help.
This is mentioned the engine and a battery.
Okay.
Also taken.
Okay, so we're talking about what we need. So some of those, we might be mixing in together materials and things you need that are going to justify your price and features and functions, right? So we can either change some of this wording now to plop it in here to separate out what materials do I need versus what can it do. Do you want to do that now so that it makes it more clear cut? You don't want to do it at all, but I will help you do it now. Okay. All right, this invention will need engines and a battery and a good computer. What is that? Is that materials or a feature? That's materials. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type here materials, like a little heading. Okay. And I'm going to leave that sentence there. It will also need metal, fibers, it needs a net. Okay. So tell me where I should stop in these sentences, where I've stopped talking about materials. When am I starting to talk about what it will have, what it will be?
Some things I mentioned be water.
Okay, yep. Okay, so now you're starting to talk about features. It's waterproof. It's going to have a camera, right? So if it's a feature, function, or benefit, if it's in this area, you're going to plug it in over here as green. The material stuff we're going to leave up there later, and we have a little hint to tell us where to look for it. Okay?
Those have
Well, let's see, how does it end? A connection wire, it can change directions. So that's a function, right? Something it can do. Yep, I think you're right. Remember, do the control X.
It'll be 20 minutes.
Okay, then they've already stopped. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I guess we're at 20 minutes already.
20 minutes and 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, we're at 15. Okay, so cut that and plug it. So you're plugging it under this section, not under construction, because we're not talking about how to put it together yet. We're talking about the features and functions and things that it has. Okay, good. All right. Now look at that. We're down to half the amount of text for you to go through, and we're only on the second checklist, right? Out of there, I think 4 or 5, right? Okay. Is there anything else in here? Now, before we decide, are we putting this under sort of features and things? What's the next category? So you want to have some context here. materials that are needed. That we've already got that covered. We've got that there. Now we're talking about market research will be what we do last today. And that's when we talk about the price and like marketing and things like that. So I think most of what you're looking here is going to be either under this materials heading or we're going to plug it over here. It's just going to be a matter of looking at every sentence and saying, what's that telling me? Is it staying here or am I putting it over there? Okay. Oops. Okay, so you're here, drones. Okay, now is it being less likely to hurt someone? Is that a feature? Like, is that a fact about the actual device itself? Is it something that it does, or is it a benefit, like a good though? It's a benefit, but it still falls under this category. So I would put it maybe at the bottom, but you're right, it falls under benefit. Yep, you left off right there. You don't have to stop to color code each one if it's already in there. And what about the next sentence? Can
also help on search and rescue mission.
Also a benefit. Very good. There we go. All right. I think we're good.
Thank you so much.